Thank you. Hello. So I'm guessing you guys all know what software design patterns are. They're essentially documented best practices that we use to write good code. Software anti-patterns, on the other hand, are documented bad practices. The nice thing about anti-patterns is that they allow us to identify an issue and resolve that issue using the solution provided. And a very good example of a performance anti-pattern that we've probably all come across is the God class or the blob class. It's usually your first piece of code that you write. You lump everything into a single object. It's very inefficient. It's got lots of dependencies. It's very error prone. The solution to resolving this class is to refactor it into smaller functional units where you have behavioral data with the data that's required for it in smaller units. So it's a nice way to resolve a issue in your system. So I was thinking, how could we apply anti-patterns to normal human behavior? There's things we do every day that are completely pointless, inefficient, and a complete waste of time. So I thought, well, maybe I could observe some human behavior over the weeks leading up to Ignite and could document some of these so we could all break some of our bad habits and become a little bit more efficient. So next I'm going to present my top 5 everyday performance anti-patterns. Number 1, queuing for a flight when you already have a ticket assigned at the gate. Now, I'm not talking about situations where you're on a budget flight and this makes some sense and you don't have a ticket assigned. I'm talking about a scenario where you have a ticket, your seat is on it, nobody else can have it. So you're effectively queuing up for something you already have. The only thing you're guaranteeing in this situation is that you'll be on the plane for a lot longer than anybody else. So what's the solution to this? I like to observe this behavior from the comfort of a nice, comfortable chair in the departure lounge. You can do an email, you can have a beer, you can do really whatever you want, but don't spend time queuing for something you already have. Number 2, this is maybe more of a smell than an anti-pattern, but what I've noticed is at train platforms, as the train is slowing down, people tend to select the door and then quickly follow that door. It's quite dangerous on a busy platform. The solution to this, well, as we all know, trains tend to have more than one door, and very often more than one carriage. So wait for the train to stop and select the closest door to you. It's a lot safer. Number 3, isn't it very annoying when somebody drives right up behind you, known as tailgating, I believe, in this country? You know, often when this happens, the person in front feels the onus to accelerate and to drive faster to appease the person behind. Bad idea. What will happen is the tailgater will speed up and you'll have a tailgater at high speed. Again, quite dangerous. So my solution to this problem is simply slow down. You'll probably piss off the guy behind you. Good for you. But more important, it's safer for the guy to pass you out and everybody leaves happier. Number 4, this happens to me a lot. I travel a lot, and I know I should call the bank in advance of traveling, but I rarely do. It leaves me in an embarrassing situation where I can't pay for stuff when I'm abroad. And I don't think I'm the only person that this has happened to, because banks have dedicated teams that are available 24/7 to unblock your credit card when this occurs. Now, I was thinking, we all carry mobile application or mobile devices. They all track our location. We all have online banking apps. So surely we can use some intelligence rather than this brute force attack of simply blocking your credit card and leaving you in a very embarrassing situation. Number 5, last but not least, something we all do every day that's completely pointless: worrying. So I looked at some interesting surveys about worrying, and they essentially all said the same thing. We all worry too much. And one of them had some interesting statistics. 40% of the time that we worry about things that never happen. 30% of the things we worry about have already happened. 22% of the things we worry about we have no control over. So that leaves 8% of the things we worry about as something we can actually do something about. So you can effectively reduce the amount of worrying you do by 92% and not feel any way irresponsible. So don't worry, be happy. So there are my top 5 everyday performance anti-patterns. Hopefully they become useful for you guys and you can all become more efficient human beings. Thank you.